Hey everybody, welcome to the Pet Food Puzzle Guy, and today we're going to talk about Zera, this cute little dog here. And we just came off a video. I just finished a video uh, showing an interview with Dr. Judy Morgan and Dr. Chris, the founder of Medicus Veterinary Diets. And they had comments about hydrolyzed protein, namely from Hills, it would be ZD, and how hydrolyzed protein is just these goofy diets and they're just unhealthy and they're terrible and they don't understand them at all. It's just big business, blah, blah, blah. So you can go and watch that video if you want, but this is kind of a follow-up to it because this is real world. This is a story about Zera, and Zera's in Croatia. And I only know this story because Eve, one of our regular devoted nutrition mission members, told me about this story. And I want to share it because it's a perfect ending to that last video. So go back and watch those doctors and their total, and I hate to use the word ignorance, but they just know nothing about hydrolyzed diets and how amazing they are in their attitude and their opinion. But here's the real story. Here's the rest of the story about Zera, the little dog from Croatia. So at about a year and a half old, Zera started showing signs of allergies. And Eve tells me that in Croatia, the veterinarian did all kinds of tests and actually sent some of them to the States, the United States, to be analyzed. And what they found was poor Zera was like allergic to everything. And that's pretty common, environmental and food. Usually it means that the immune system is just in overdrive and it goes after proteins in the diet, it goes after the environment, it pretty much goes after everything. So Zera was one of these cases. Her veterinarian, Kira's mom's name is Marina. So we have Eve, who's telling me the story and about her really good friend Marina and her dog Zera. Okay, just to keep the name straight. So they go to the veterinarian, and the veterinarian says, okay, based on these test results, we need to get her on a hydrolyzed diet. And both Eve, at the time, Eve was one of those, show me the ingredients. That's all that mattered. And she admits that now. And so they look at the ingredient panel of Royal Canin and Hills and Purina. I guess all three are there in Croatia. And because of the stuff they've read on social media, they're really dog lovers. I mean, they are committed to their dogs. And so because of the awareness they've received from social media, they're horrified to look at these ingredient panels. They're just blown away. So Marina decides there is just no way that her precious Zera is going to be fed one of these awful diets. So that's at a year and a half old. Poor Zera struggles and suffers literally for years. They put her on steroids. Marina would not use any of the veterinary diets, so she did try other diets on the market. And so Marina is trying every diet out there. And I think she found a Cana lamb, lasted for like maybe 3 weeks, and then again, just the ears exploding, everything going on. She just could not find a food that helped at all. And the steroids kind of helped, but not very much. I mean, she said she'd come home and find blood sometimes on the floor from Zera scratching her ears. And I even have a picture that Eve sent me, and I'll put it up here. It's not a great picture to analyze the ears. This is just a fun picture. And God bless her, little Zera's just having a wonderful time in this picture, even though she's suffering with these allergies. But if you zoom in, you can look at those ears, and it just kind of it hurts just looking at them. So this went on, and I hate to say this, and Eve hates to say it now. This went on for about 6 years, with no relief. Okay, just constant issues. And if you've ever had an itchy dog, it is very heartbreaking and frustrating, and you just feel helpless, like nothing works. So 6 years go by. Well, life, like for most of us, life changes, and Marina gets married and has a baby. And you could just imagine, those of you that have gotten married, and especially got married and that had a baby, life gets very busy. Your attention and your focus and your efforts go in a million different directions. And she finally, Marina, just breaks down and says, I just can't do this anymore. I'm going to feed this Hill ZD to Zera. I don't know what else to do. So it's again, it's been 6 years here, folks. I want you to understand that. She starts feeding the food, and guess what? Yeah, you guessed it. The ears start uh, healing, the itching subsides. Zera turns into a normal, healthy dog. And here's a picture of Zera here, all happy and healthy. Okay. The moral of this story is not in just that ZD worked. And when I said in the video that for Dr. Judy Morgan, who is a big YouTube influencer, if you want to call her that, or celebrity, whatever, um, she has totally rejected nutrition science. She's just totally rejected it. Mainly what I learned from that interview with her and Dr. Chris, it's not that she's rejected. You can't reject something you don't know. She rejected veterinary nutrition and therapeutic nutrition, nutrition science, call it whatever you want, way back about 30 years ago. That's where she's still at. She described diets as if we were back in the 80s or 90s. So now I understand these veterinarians, all of them that are against prescription diet. It's just cereal. It's just brown balls. It's garbage. They're pretty sincere because they don't know better, because they stopped believing in science, at least nutrition science, and now they're just into alternative medicine or progressive medicine or Chinese medicine, whatever. Okay. So that's why they can't believe that ZD worked so well for Zera. And Zera is one of thousands. I'm sure I'm not really good at the whole world. Yikes. Hills is in 80 countries, I think 85 countries. With food allergies, it's in the tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dogs and cats, for that matter, that have benefited from hydrolyzed protein diets. And not just ZD, Royal Canin and Purina as well. But this is the fact. This is how it works. Now, fast forward, it's been a couple years. Zera is doing great. Allergies are just not a thing. And guess what? She's still on ZD. That's not the amazing part of this story, though. The real amazing part is that Marina, again, she's a dog lover. She's around other people that have dogs. So, Marina, when she meets people and they ask her what she feeds Zera, Marina will say that she's basically feeding this horrible food that's no better than McDonald's. Um, that's what she tells people. It basically cured her beloved dog after 6 years of suffering. Now Zera's doing great. But if somebody asks her, what are you feeding? She's still, Marina, I mean, God bless her. She loves her animal, and Zera's blessed to have her as a mom. So I don't want to take anything away from that. But her attitude is that this diet is so bad. It's as bad as McDonald's. Why? Because I've learned from all these celebrities on YouTube how bad these diets are and how bad these ingredients are. And I feel terrible feeding it because I know how bad it is, but it's the only thing that works. So, so, and Marina's no different than the rest of us. We are all so susceptible to marketing. That's why marketing exists, because marketing works. You go to the internet, you love your animal, you want to do the best, and you hear these stories from Dr. Judy and Dr. Chris or Dr. Becker or Rodney or Sam in England or the dog food nutritionist from England or the tattooed pet nutritionist, or of course Rachel, the bubbly girl that sits on the floor and tells you all about pet food. I mean, that's about, actually, I think that's about it. There's only a few more maybe than that. But they've influenced so many people like Marina and Eve at the time that this is how you judge foods. So here's this woman who finally finds relief for her pet, And it was recommended by the vet. It wasn't like just found on Facebook or something like that. I mean, literally, her vet, who she trusts to go to, said, do this. 6 years she hesitated until life changed to the point where she just gave up and said, let's give it a try. But once you see, oh my goodness, my vet was right, this stuff works, maybe those ingredients aren't so bad. Maybe I need to understand this from a different perspective. Maybe those people telling me that it's garbage or no better than McDonald's, like Dr. Becker says, um, maybe they're wrong. Well, I'm happy to say, and I'm humbly saying this, I'm grateful for this, that Eve has been watching my videos. She's been watching Dr. Ray's videos, which I can't say enough. Anybody, if you're watching my videos and any of this is resonating with you, you need to check out Animal Doc Ray. I'll put it up on the screen, and also Vet Med Corner, Dr. M, two veterinarians, practicing veterinarians that actually believe in science, and they believe in what they see happening in their clinics. They don't reject anything. So you really need to check them out, and you'll find that I'm not nuts in what I'm saying. So I appreciate that. But Eve now understands it's nutrients that matter. She's not falling for those ingredients. That's why she told me this story. And Eve and Marina, many of us have been there, and I have people on the channel that comment, hey, I went down that rabbit hole of the boutique diets or this and that, or raw whatever. And the worst though is the saddest is when I hear the stories like Marina, where they say, I'm feeding this food and I feel so guilty because, oh, it's working, the blood values are down, or the urinary stones have dissolved, everything's going great, but I feel terrible feeding this awful food because I learned from these other doctors how awful the ingredients are and how awful these foods are. It's like our logic shuts down sometimes, and the marketing just sounds so good that we accept it, and we don't think, well, wait a minute. If these companies have board certified nutritionists and these other people are just selling food, and there's not one of them that I know is a board certified nutritionist, not one, that should tell me something there. The fact that my vet that I trust, that's been a vet for X amount of years and has seen animals and seen what products work, he or she is recommending this food. And then when I feed this food, guess what? It works just like my vet said it would, just like he was taught that it would. And then the marketing is still so strong that you just can't, you still feel, oh, I wish it just said whole ingredients, and I wish it wasn't extruded, and I wish it didn't have corn in it, or these ingredients that they talk about how bad those ingredients are. I want to feel good about this diet, but I can't. That's how strong marketing is. Pet food, to some people, hey, I feed it to my dog, he poops good, he looks fine, he's doing great. Okay, others like you out there that's watching this video, it's a big deal. So the marketing is just more effective on your heart and your mind than the other folks. And that's why they can get so much money out of you, because we're willing to spend so much money because we love our animals and we know nutrition matters. But talking about nutrient control, come on, let's. Now, I love it, but for most of you, it's boring as hell, right? It just is. You want to look for the my dog's a wolf, and species appropriate just sounds so good, and all in nature and all this other stuff, and you're like, just like Eve has learned, and she says Marina hasn't learned yet, so I don't know if she's ever going to see this video. Eve will have to be careful whether or not she wants to show it to her. But Marina, God bless you. You did the right thing. It took you a while to get there, but you finally gave in. And now look at Zera. Zera's doing great. So it's a happy ending. But what an illustration! And this is not the first one. I'm just picking on because Eve just wrote. So that's the end of this story here. I hope, take it for what it's worth. Take it for a lesson in how effective marketing is at brainwashing is the only word I can think of. Because again, if the ZD didn't work, sure, that would reinforce her bias, her belief that, oh yeah, of course it didn't work because it's all garbage ingredients and my vet doesn't even know what he's talking about. That would be consistent, and I get it. But too many times what happens? The darn food works, And then the poor client is feeling frustrated, confused, and even guilty. I've read the comments, even guilty that they're feeding that food, even though their dog is doing so much better now. That is powerful marketing. Don't buy into it, okay? Just like Eve has learned, just like many people on this channel now have learned. And that's the one thing. I am not a veterinarian, I'm not a scientist, but I had a wonderful role of learning from board certified nutritionists so that I can then share that information with veterinary teams and teach them on these great diets. And the best part was just like Marina's story or Eve's story, the results make it all worthwhile. So happy endings, that's what we're all about. That's what we're all after here. So we'll be nice to each other, even if we disagree. But give your dog a hug and a kiss tonight, and hope they're close. And I will see you next time.